What would you say is your favorite verse for when you're going through a difficult situation, and why does that verse help you?
I really like Ephesians 1:11, and there's a whole broad context to it, but one of the things that verse says is that God works all things according to the purpose of his will. Mm-hmm. And that's just something that's like, okay, this is a tough thing, but God's working it according to the purpose of his will. And even if it's not my will for this specific thing to be happening at the moment, that's his will. And he's going to use it, Romans 8:28. It works all things together for the good of those who love God and those who are the called according to his purpose. So being able to trust that God knows better, and God is much wiser than any of us. So
definitely, because we go through so many circumstances. I know I face so many circumstances in life that I don't understand, or I don't know why it's happening or what God is doing. So to remember that this is for God's will, this is for God's glory, he's in control, it's his purpose, then there's like security in that and like freedom in that. It's like being able to step forward and knowing who God is.
One of my favorites it was a verse in Bible Beat. It's Jesus' message to the church in Smyrna, the whole passage, Revelation 2:8-11. And he starts off, he says, I know what you're going through. And so that part is really comforting, that he knows. It's not like he just threw me into a pit and, I forgot you existed. But, and then he continues to say, do not fear what you are about to suffer. Behold, the devil is about to cast some of you into prison so that you will be tested and you will have tribulation for 10 days. Be faithful until death, and I will give you the crown of life. And that it wraps it all up, that he's warning us, but he's saying it's going to be okay, and just keep going. And so that whenever I'm in a hard time, I usually turn to that. It's like, okay, he knows and he cares, and if I just make it through, it's going to be all right. Yeah,
he knows and he cares. That's been a theme for me just this last week. So God brought Psalm 139 up for me. Like, I was talking with a friend, and she was mentioned it. I was reading a book, and it was in the book, and I was listening to a song, and it was the song, and I was like, okay, I guess this is important. I should read this. So I got out my Bible, and it ended up being the exact psalm that I needed to hear that morning that I read it. And it's all about God knows us, he sees us, he made us, he knows everything that we're going through. So yeah, I love that.
I think my favorite verse for that sort of situation would be Romans 8:28. It's so easy to just get focused in on our own lives and these own little things, and in the big scheme of things, they're pretty small. And just to know that God's working in our lives, and that he's working for good in our lives, for our ultimate good. That's very encouraging to know. And sometimes when there's a difficulty, it almost makes it not as bad, because you know that God's going to work that to make you more like him, and maybe it's helping push you more to him, and not rely on yourself as much.